All right, let's get started. Today is December 6th, 2025. So for today, I'd like to give an introduction to Domo for beginners, or rather for those just starting out, showing you how to use Domo AI in this kind of way. Domo AI itself is a part of the Domo platform. On top of that, there are various features that keep points throughout, but this time I want to focus on features that you can use easily and intuitively, even if you don't have much knowledge. Sorry for the focus shift. Seriously, we're focusing on that? I've been thinking with that focus in mind, so let's get started. Thank you for being here. So here's today's agenda. But first, let me give you an overview of Domo AI. Next, I'll introduce each of the features we'll be covering today. And after that, I'd like to move on to the actual demo. So thank you in advance. We have about 3 or 4 demos prepared for you. Today's content is really more of an introduction to Domo AI. You could say it's the beginner level. We'll just be introducing some of the features. However, in the next session, though the schedule is still being arranged, for users who are already making advanced use of Domo, we also have sessions prepared on more advanced ways to use Domo's AI, like AI agents, workflows, and various other features. If you found today's content a bit too simple, or if you thought it wasn't interesting enough, please consider joining our next session. We look forward to your participation. Thank you very much. First, let me start by introducing Domo AI as I did yesterday. As for Domo AI, some of you may have just started using Domo, while others are already familiar with it. I think many of you already know about it, but just in case. Since it's a data utilization platform, it handles everything from connecting data onward. It starts with connecting, then processes and saves the data, processes it further, visualizes it, and recently, workflow features have also been added. So it's become that kind of platform. Basically, everything related to data utilization can be done by people. You can do all of that on this platform. This platform is called Domo AI, and it's integrated into each phase, or rather each stage. So it can be used in a variety of situations. So if you ask what kind of things you can actually do, it's the AI chat feature, right? You can display a data set and chat with it. What does this feature do? Or what kind of data set is this? For example, have any of you ever tried beast mode? Basically, you use it in beast mode while consulting via chat. How should I put this? It can generate things like formulas and so on. Various features like that are available. There's also automatic dashboard creation and such. I'll show you that today, but features like these are available at key points. That's what is currently available and accessible to us in the present day. But primarily, please try to visualize and imagine it in your mind as something akin to a series of steps, much like a branch staircase leading upwards. You can go up step by step. But today, we're starting from the very bottom. Right. And then the second step, the second level. I'll mainly be introducing this area to you. As you make more use of LLMs, when you get to the very top of the staircase, you can use AI agents to automate your business operations and things like that. You can take it that far. However, today I'll be introducing this area. In the next session, or the session after that, we'll cover these AI agents. At the very top, we have a lot of demos prepared for those use cases, so if you're interested, please check them out. We hope you'll take a look and join us. So before we actually jump into the exciting and informative demos, I'd like to first briefly introduce the various truly innovative AI-related features and functionalities we'll be thoroughly covering today. First, there's AI readiness, or the state of being prepared for AI. This refers to what you might call the preliminary steps or groundwork. It's a feature for preparing things before you actually start using AI. Maybe some of you have already used it before. When you open each data set, there's an AI readiness tab. right? So what does this mean? There are various columns in the dataset, right? Thank you for explaining what kind of column this is. You add that information so that the AI can understand it. This is what's called meta information, I guess. It's often just taken directly from the dataset system under a different name. If you just pull it out and throw it in as is, how should I put it? Even for humans, it's actually pretty hard to understand, like column names with such. I think there are actually quite a few cases like that. Of course, you can change data names and so on with Magic ETL or other processing tools, but in those cases with AI, for example, internal company specific terminology or the meaning of the data, you can tag it or even provide explanations in natural language. However, by adding that kind of information, AI, like AI chat, which we'll talk about later, and also automatic dashboard generation can work even better. But when AI analyzes data with a better understanding of what each column represents, the accuracy of its responses will also improve. So, in a sense, it's like prepping the ingredients. It's definitely something you should set up properly. Of course, you can still use AI chat even without these settings. But if you feel like the accuracy isn't quite there, I recommend trying to set it up once and see how it goes. That's about it. Next, let's talk about AI chat. The preparations are done. And as I mentioned earlier with AI Readiness, next comes this kind of there's a feature called AI chat, you see, in the Dome. It's displayed on the screen, so you might have tried it out. Some of you may have already tried it in the chat, though. If you ask questions like, what kind of data set is this? The AI will answer. And for example, it can even display things like graphs or charts for you. You can do this not just with data sets, but also with dashboards and apps. You can also utilize the comprehensive chat function for those specific inquiries and discussions as well. Now, moving on to the next crucial point. This particular aspect is all about the AI's incredibly powerful and automatic dashboard generation feature. When you precisely specify the relevant and appropriate data set, the system will then automatically generate the dashboard for you. It will automatically create the entire chat method for you just like that, all at once, in a comprehensive and efficient manner. That's the truly remarkable kind of feature it is. As for when I personally use it, it's typically when I'm actively creating something new and innovative, whether it's a sophisticated application or a detailed analytical dashboard. When I'm thinking about what kind of thing to make, I run this once, look at the chart suggestions, and think maybe making a chart like this would be good. Or like, "Nah, I don't really need this one." That kind of feeling. Basically, it's like making a rough draft. I use it when I want to make some tweaks to the dashboard, like making updates based on that rough draft. Of course, if a good chart is suggested, good. You can just use it as is, or you can make adjustments after deploying it. So, yeah, that's how it works. It's a really great feature for creating a rough draft. I think that's probably the case. So, I really hope all of you will give it a try. Next, I'd like to introduce the AI Assistant feature in Beast Mode. Everyone, have you ever extensively utilized Beast Mode before? To put it quite simply, it's a powerful feature that genuinely lets you dynamically create new columns that are not inherently present in your original dataset. For example, when you're making charts or something like that, Beast Mode lets you create calculated columns yourself, which you can then use in your charts. For example, you can use a case statement like this. In this example, if the value in the company name column is Tokyo headquarters, it will display as headquarters. And for anything else, it will just show the company name. That kind of thing. You can use it to add formulas and create columns that make it easier to aggregate data in your charts. What's really useful is that with the AI assistant feature, you can just chat in natural language, like please create a case statement with these conditions for this situation, and it will generate it for you instantly. It's a pretty handy feature that I use a lot myself, so I definitely recommend giving it a try. As for what I introduced yesterday, lastly, there's AutoML. When you hear AutoML or see the keyword auto, I think most people get the impression that it's something simple or automated. However, today I won't be including AutoML in the demo, or rather, it's a bit. To be completely honest with you, it's actually more of an advanced and somewhat complex feature, but since it's prominently included within the dataset menu, I will at least provide you with a brief yet comprehensive overview. If you are truly interested in knowing all the intricate details, there is an entirely separate and dedicated advanced session that thoroughly covers it in the main demo, so please make sure to check that out for further information. To briefly and simply explain, it's essentially what you would commonly refer to as machine learning, a powerful and transformative technology. We're talking about accumulated data here, time series data, and all sorts of other data, like sales data or log data. There are many types, right? You use that kind of data for machine learning to create an AI prediction model. Then, based on the prediction model you built, you deploy it in something like Magic ETL to make AI-driven predictions. For example, if you want to predict stock prices several days in the future, you could use past stock data to forecast what the return on a particular stock will be after a certain number of days. That's the kind of prediction we're talking about. So when you create these AI prediction models, these machine learning models, normally you would typically use something like Python to run machine learning, which would require a certain level of programming knowledge as well as a basic understanding of machine learning itself. But now you can easily select a data set and get started without any code at all. It automatically and efficiently tries out various machine learning algorithms and sophisticated models behind the scenes. And AutoML intelligently suggests this particular model using this specific method gives the best possible accuracy. You can then easily select a recommended model, and by simply choosing to use it, you can seamlessly deploy it just like that. However, even though you can do most of it with just a few simple clicks and absolutely no code, you still absolutely need to think very carefully about thoroughly preparing your valuable data beforehand. There are comprehensive help articles readily available that explain this in detail, so if you're genuinely interested, please do take a look. They meticulously describe step by step how to effectively set things up, so I truly think it's a really interesting and fascinating field for those who are naturally curious. In the dataset menu at the very top, there's also a distinct AutoML option, and we often get questions like, what exactly is this? So I specifically wanted to introduce it today. That's the comprehensive overview. If you're particularly interested, in the next session for advanced users, there will be engaging demos featuring this as well, so please make sure to check it out. That effectively concludes the feature introduction for today. All right, everyone, let's finally and enthusiastically move on to the live demo. I'll seamlessly switch back to the screen now. So as for the detailed agenda for today's session, we will be thoroughly demonstrating these four key aspects. First, the process of creating metadata. Second, the generation of a comprehensive chat dashboard. And third, the powerful beast mode functionality. These demonstrations will be presented in that specific order. To begin, I would like to start by meticulously preparing the artificial intelligence dataset. For the purposes of today's insightful demonstration, the specific data I am utilizing is an extensive and current list of various stocks that are officially listed on the prestigious Tokyo Stock Exchange, providing a real-world context for our examples. Since it's a list of listed stocks, it also includes things like ETFs, so the volume is pretty big, about 4,408 rows. Now, I'd like to start by configuring AI readiness for this dataset. If you click on the AI readiness tab like this, by default, none of the columns that explain the data to the AI, that is, the metadata columns, are selected. Here, if you click Add Column to add a column, It's the column name. So you select which columns you want to target, clicking through them one by one. This time, I'll select all of them. Once you've made your selections and click Add Column, you can see they've been selected like this. For each column, like code or company name, you can add synonyms and explanations. For example, for code. For example, you might enter something like stock code. Sorry, that's in Japanese, but you can add entries like this. And for this column, you add explanations like this. Now, let's try saving it once. You'll see that the context and the synonyms are now included. The AI will use this as reference information when generating things like the AI chat we saw earlier or the dashboards that'll come up later. On the right-hand side, there's a very clear and distinct on-off switch labeled AI enabled, so you can easily toggle it depending on whether you specifically want to utilize its capabilities or not. You can also effectively remove any items that are simply not relevant by carefully excluding them from the primary target list and then permanently deleting them. So I strongly encourage each of you to give it a thorough try. After watching this comprehensive demonstration just now, some of you might indeed be wondering, can't we actually use AI to automatically generate this particular part too? That's a very common and frequently asked question we consistently receive. Currently, with Domo's standard out-of-the-box features, there isn't a specific function within Domo.AI that automatically sets up each of these individual AI readiness settings for you. However, since this is a dynamic Domo service, its features are constantly and continuously being updated and enhanced, so we are genuinely hoping that such a valuable function will be thoughtfully added in the near future. For now, it's unfortunately not readily available as a standard feature, but we are certainly looking forward to all future updates on improvements. So for today's session, this is a bit of an advanced demo that I usually show, so I won't go into too much detail. But actually, even things that aren't available as standard features, if you build your own workflow, you can embed generative AI functions within that workflow. Actually, this is something I created myself that, for example, automatically generates metadata and similar tasks. You can do things like that. Let me show you a bit. I won't go into the details today, but on Domo, you can create apps like this. This is a feature for building apps in Domo. The instructions are listed in order like this. On the right side, you select the target dataset, and when you run it, the workflow is executed. As for the owner, I'll just enter my name here, select it, set it to true, and when I run it, this is the form on the right side. When I execute it, the workflow starts. It works by passing the selected data set, something like that. Should we take a look at the execution log? When we do, there's one that's in progress. This is the one I just started. This is the workflow, and as you saw earlier, it's running through the app like this. The workflow is running right now. It's pretty interesting to actually see it running, isn't it? Updating the dataset description. Since that's running, I'd like you to take a look. But aside from the descriptions for each column in this AI readiness, there's also this overview section. Right now, I don't think there's anything in here, but if you refresh it, it'll look like this with the prompt set to generate in Japanese. So since it's set up that way, the content comes in Japanese, but it's like this. You can also add explanations for the data side. As for the other parts, there are quite a lot of columns here, right, everyone? Here, this is the part where the process repeats, generating all the columns and looping through them. After generating them, at the end, it ends up as an update, so there are about 20 columns. I think that's how many we had this time, so it's quite a lot. It does take about 3 or 4 minutes, so it's a bit of work. I'd like to let the workflow run and wait for a bit. This is the same data set I prepared in advance, but it's the one I ran through the workflow. But if you click on aids, When the workflow is actually completed, it looks like this. You can automatically generate things like security actions or stock actions like this. So I think this is a pretty convenient workflow to have as a standard feature. I think it's a feature that should really be included. This workflow here, if you're interested, I think we could probably provide it as a sample or something. So please feel free to reach out if you'd like to discuss it. So that's what I wanted to say. That concludes the AI readiness demo. Shall we go back for a moment? Next, I'd like to talk a bit about AI chat. For example, in the Data tab, the datasets, if you display the list, it's kind of like my Domo.AI. The menu will be updated to the latest version, so the navigation bar is on the left, and AI chat is also here. This AI chat on the left is displayed here. It's not showing up, so please wait a moment. Should we try refreshing once? Let's wait a bit. Maybe the AI chat is hidden somewhere? All right, I'd like to resume now, even if just a little. So, about the AI chat, actually, you see, well, as expected, you type in Japanese in the chat. If you want the responses to be in Japanese as well, you need to select Japanese as the language in your environment settings. It seems like you have to do that. And then in those settings, sometimes, it might not show up in the settings. I temporarily switched the location settings and such to English this time, but it seems like because of that, things didn't display properly. When I set it to Japanese or local settings, it displays properly. So the UI ends up being in Japanese. But I'd like to go ahead and continue like this for now. Here is the AI chat. On the left side, it appears in the latest navigation menu. It's displayed there for everyone. If you're not using the latest version, it might show up in the upper right or somewhere like that. So please give it a try if you haven't already. For example, if you have something you want to ask or even PR related questions, you can actually ask those too. Just type it in when the prompt comes up, and it will generate a chart. That's how it works in FIDE. It looks something like this. For example, how many companies are there in the prime market? Or it'll show you something like this and then display a chart like this alongside it. It analyzes things for you in this kind of way. You can ask any questions you want, it's totally fine. On what basis is this being done? If you want to check on what basis this answer was given, you can press this step and then you'll see something like this. For example, it generated an SQL query, or you can see that it's processing the SQL like this. Yes, that's the basis for it. You'll be able to see what kind of processing is happening behind the scenes and also what it's referencing. The data set, like this is it, or yes. Pretty useful, right? It's really convenient, don't you think? You can use it for anything. Is it okay to use something that's not listed here in the public relations section? The data set to June 6th, 2025. What kind of questions should I try asking? Honestly, I can't really think of a good idea right now. This data set, it's a pretty standard question, like, what is this? But let's just try it out with this for now. It's a list of listed stocks. Well, yeah, that's right. That's correct. The date of the data is June 6th, 2025. So from earlier. Oh, sorry about the date. Since the date is June 6th, that's how the data date appears. So if you're looking for individual stocks, I think you can probably find them by entering the company name or something like that. It should come up. So everyone, please try it out. I hope you'll give it a try, at least once. This is how to use the AI chat with the dataset. That's what it is. That's the gist of it. Next, I'd like to talk about automatic dashboard generation and do a demo for you. Please switch to this top page. Then for the target dataset, if you do that, you'll see something called Domo.AI in the menu. Since that's there, create an app by clicking on it. When you do that, the content builder agent will appear. So select the dataset here. It's set up so when you press start, Domo AI will access and analyze the target dataset. It will think about what kind of chart to create and then make suggestions for you. The process is moving along. You can see the work progressing like this. Please wait a moment. It takes a little time. You look at the top right, you'll see Tomalai. It looks like it's thinking right now, and there's some movement here too, which I think is pretty cool. That's just my personal opinion, but it's like this. Now the part has appeared. So just like this, here are the options. The chart appears and by default, everything's already selected. So if there's something you don't need, you can deselect it. When you remove it from the selection, it gets grayed out, right? Just select the ones you want. Only pick the ones that seem useful, like, oh, this one looked handy. Or if something doesn't look that useful, you can skip it. Just go through and choose only what you want to use. Once you've made your selections, look at the bottom right corner. You can choose whether to create it as an app or create it as an update. In this case, you can also choose whether to add it to an existing app or create it as a new app or even as a dashboard. You can also create it as a dashboard. Recently, I hardly use dashboards anymore and mostly just use apps. So this time, I want to go ahead and create a new app. When I click on it, it shows saving chart right now. And in the background, it's creating the app. It's currently actively running. Okay, it's been created. So how does everyone feel about it? The layout and such? It still needs a human touch, I think. It's still like this, you know? How should I put it? Well, since there are two charts or cards lined up side by side, it's a bit hard to see, isn't it? So I think the layout in areas like this really needs to be adjusted. For example, if you want to add a filter, of course you can add one or add cards like these. Yes, you can use the features provided just as they are, like drop downs and various other functions. There are a lot of features available here. Yes, so you can make adjustments, well, minor tweaks really, or rather, you can modify it however you want to use it. Basically, you can make changes as needed. Let's save it once. So that's how it is. Right. Well, as things stand now, I don't think you can really use it exactly as is, but you can create a draft and then make adjustments to it. That's the kind of use case I often have. Even when I'm making charts with datasets, it gives me new insights, like, oh, I could make it from this perspective too. Yes, I really hope everyone will give it a try. And here as well, you can use this AI chat feature. You can use it in the app or on the dashboard too. So let's start a new chat here. Since the data set we're accessing is the same, of course, similar questions will come up. But for example, this. The app is, what is it? Or what does it do? Or let's try asking, what kind of insights can it provide? Then, just like before, it's accessing the same data set as earlier. Looks like it's working. It's thinking. It seems like it couldn't execute. Let me try again. I wonder why. I'll try a different one again. Let me try it with something else. Oh, it worked this time. I wonder what happened earlier. It didn't show up before, did it? Let's try it one more time. Notice you this. The app is. It's a stock market data analysis tool, and there it is. So just like this. Yes, just like with the previous data set, you can try using it in the same way. So you can also create charts like this. Maybe it's acting up a bit, but you can do these things. So I hope everyone will give it a try. Yes. So that's basically how you use it on the app. This is the AI chat feature. And well, finally, we also did automatic generation on the dashboard app. You can use AI chat there as well. And lastly, let's talk about beast mode. I'd also like to introduce the AI stance feature in beast mode. Which one should I pick? So for beast mode, well, you set it up on the chart analyzer settings screen, but I'm a bit torn right now about which one to use. Which one would be good? Well, let's proceed with this particular selection. All right, let's endeavor to utilize this specific one for a brief period. So let's attempt the process of editing the comprehensive analyzer on this detailed chart, carefully adjusting its parameters to achieve the desired outcome. So this is the analyzer screen, right? And beast mode is down here in the bottom left corner. For example, let's create a calculated field, for example, by concatenating the stock code and the company name. If you want to create something like that, for example, a new column for the stock, it's like creating a new column name. It's not directly added to the original data set, but rather it's a data set created specifically for this chart. For example, code in, please combine the stock code and the stock name together, something like that, for example, AAPL, Apple Inc., or GOOGL, Alphabet Inc. If you enter that, it'll look something like this. It'll show up as something like code company name. Yeah. So in Japanese, when you input it, the actual columns are the code and the company name, right? But even if you enter it like this, if you have things like the AI business set up properly, or even if you don't, it often still works. Actually, yes, it can even create methods for things like this. So let's try saving it once. Earlier, separately. I created the same column as in the Japanese demo version, so there's a duplicate. Let's call it something like stock merge. Then I'll save it. It's been saved. So then, oh, I created one earlier. There are also ones I made in other demos. For example, like this. If I do this, it looks something like this. How should I put it? You can display something like a combination of the stock code and the company name, and that's what beast mode is for. And well, this is kind of a supplementary feature of beast mode, which is actually pretty convenient. It's a useful feature, so I hope everyone will give it a try. Should I save this? It's saving now. Okay, it's been saved. All right, let's go back. Here, if I save this one, it was down below just now, right? Well, like this, the columns created in beast mode are displayed on the chart like this. All right, that's all. Thank you all for sticking with me through the demo. So, what we covered today was, as I mentioned at the beginning, more of a beginner's level or an introduction for those who have just started using it recently. Um, I introduced some of the AI features you can use, but actually, there's also an advanced section. Actually, that's really the main part. Well, so this is always a theme I work with. AI applied to app development, but there's also an advanced section. So if you feel like today's content wasn't enough, please, by all means, join us for the next session. As for the demo lineup, I only introduced a part of it today, but one of the workflows I briefly mentioned earlier, the metadata workflow, is included as well, making a total of there are 7 in total. For example, using AI agents, you can perform store-specific analysis, and you can also incorporate AI agents into workflows. Besides that, there's the recent trend of RAG, like RAG chat and support centers that combine RAG with AI agents. Then, as I mentioned earlier, there's the topic of AutoML. AutoML and also something called Jupyter, which is Python based, well, there are also environments for doing that in Domo. And with those, you can feed the same market information data to train machine learning models to predict stock prices. And there are also things like AIOCR. Recently, it's become possible to incorporate these into workflows, and those are included as well. Altogether, it makes for about an hour-long demo. So if any of you are interested, I hope you'll join us for the next advanced session. Actually, this demo, the 7 things I mentioned earlier, has already been recorded. It's all being, yes, on YouTube. Sorry, it's actually set as an unlisted video on YouTube, so only people with the link can access it. We have both English and Japanese versions available, so if you access it, you'll find it's about an hour-long demo. If you're interested, I really hope you'll check it out. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was about beginner level ways to utilize AI. Thank you very much.